Welcome to the Twist News. I'm Erika Grey. When Vladimir Putin first came out and accused Ukraine, the US, and UK, but especially Ukraine, of the Crocus City Hall attack, the media reported that Putin was essentially out of his mind, that he was paranoid, and trying to make him look crazy for how could he say such a thing? Oh my goodness, how could he dare accuse Ukraine of such a horrific terrorist attack on Russian soil? And little by little, news has been coming out. So I'm going to pull up my notebook, and you got to excuse this. This is a Hello Kitty notebook. And I'm going to pull up my Hello Kitty notebook because, honestly, I don't have time to put this all in slides of what has come out factually backing up Putin's assessment. And a lot of this was reported in the Indian media, the Times of India, Hindustan Times, and there's another station which is also reporting, and that's CNN News 18. But basically, it's been reported that what's been found factually, that the burned car was to be discarded at the Ukrainian border for the terrorists to cross the border on foot, and also how the distance from the attack to Ukraine was pretty significant compared to other possible exits. The suspects' phones had pro-Ukrainian images, and the explosives were sent from Ukraine via the EU in Orthodox religious icons. CNN News 18 reported that an investigator found photos of people in camouflage uniforms and Ukrainian flag pictures and damaged buildings, and Ukrainian postage stamp as well found on the terrorist phones. There's also a photo circulating out there of a soldier within the Ukrainian army bearing an ISIS patch. In this broadcast, I'm going to take this another level, and you're going to get something that's not yet been reported on. But why would the West embark? And when I say the West, I'm not talking the collective West. I'm talking the Ukraine, the United States. Looks good for the United States. Let's say possibly the UK. Why would this be a possibility, and what would the reason be? First, let me state that when Putin first stated about the possibility of Ukraine-US involvement, the CIA is known for having some really out there methods, such as wanting to get some kind of drug to Fidel Castro years ago so his beard would fall out, so that he would look weak in the eyes of Cubans because part of his looking strong was the beard. So you have to almost take that CIA strategy as a basis now for this. So now let's go, we're fast forwarding, and we're going to look at the reasons why the Ukraine and the United States and possibly the UK would have launched this attack or been behind it. The first, of course, is revenge. So that's almost a no-brainer, revenge. And the second that you have to take into consideration is this is very ruthless. It's interesting that Putin has accused Ukraine, the United States, and UK, but not the EU. And I don't believe the EU is at this level of ruthlessness in war, proxy war. They're not at that level. So I understand why they're not part of this and they're not part of the accusation. But there's a lot of good reasons as to why. And we're going to start going over them now from my Hello Kitty notebook. Essentially, what was attempted was to create a Russian 9/11, which would deviate Russia from Ukraine to ISIS and cause Russia to engage in another conflict, again, deviating it from Ukraine. In addition, another reason is it would create public opinion of instability in Russia. Russia right now is looking very strong because the sanctions have failed, its economy has blossomed, and it's formed alliances with the BRIC nations. And it's also viewed as now winning battles in Ukraine. So Russia's appearing very strong. So part of this was also to create public opinion of instability in Russia and also begin to make Russia look weak. If Russia could be attacked on another front, it might weaken it, which would make it look weak. Its resolve, also, it might weaken. Another potential for being behind this was to weaken Russia's resolve in Ukraine, because now it would be fighting a battle on its own territory with ISIS. Also, to weaken Putin's image. Putin is looking very strong. Weakens his image. This attack takes place on his soil. All eyes are going to be on Russia now and on Putin in the handling of this. Also, to create instability within Russia itself by increasing anti-Muslim hate and violence. And given Russia's Muslim, Christian, and also Jewish population, to create this kind of hate among the different religions, which Russia gives freedom to and caters to, would create instability in Russia. Also, trying to make Russia create an obsessive focus for its own security and safety. And again, the eyes of the world are going to be on Russia, and any moves in any direction will be criticized. And there's more. The cost of the property damage and the economic damage to the country also hitting Russia's tourism and travel industry. So let's take a little peek at Russia's tourism and travel agency, travel industry. And for this, I have slides. We have in 2024, the flow of foreign tourists to Russia has increased 3.5 times. So we begin to get this little image that tourism in Russia is a source of income. It said the leaders in the number of visits were tourists from China, Germany, Turkey, and the UAE. In total, foreigners crossed the Russian border 15.4 million times last year, which is 18.6% more than in 2022. Here is a report in 2023 that domestic tourism within Russia was at a 20% increase in 2023. And here, of course, this goes back, but gives the rates of travel and tourism to Russia's GDP. This attack also goes at that industry. So these are very good reasons why an attack would be launched. And of course, it's ruthless. It's absolutely ruthless. But this is now where this is war, and this is where war has gone. It's ruthless. And what's interesting is you'll have certain sides try to paint the other one as more ruthless when they're all in the same pot. It's ruthless. War is ruthless. But the European Union is not at this point. But given the history of CIA tactics in removing Castro's beard, this is not out of line of possibility. And I don't care what a CIA expert says on the media, because he's not telling the truth. What's going to happen now is that Russia's going to complete its investigation, and you could see, based on the Indian media, that Russia is very thorough in its investigation. It's gathering evidence. But when it does, and it is conclusive, Russia is definitely going to respond. And I'll be reporting on that because Russia is in a position of strength right now, and the West is looking weak. And the amount of money that they're throwing in is still not making a difference. Instead, it's affecting the U.S. economy, Europe's economy. It lends to the United States and Ukraine resorting to these tactics. And let's face it, the blowing up of Nord Stream 1 and 2, I mean, do I need to say more? So it's not out of the possibility. So we will wait to see when the evidence is conclusive and how Russia will then respond. And that's going to be a topic for another video. So stay tuned for more. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Hit the button if you don't. Check out our Amazon store and stay tuned until next time.
Get down.